Hello there, you beautiful soul. Welcome back to another Culture Talk segment with your host and founder of Cultured Society. My name is Rebecca Munoz, and if you have not had the opportunity to join me on these conversations yet, there are a plethora of conversations on this channel that are here to inspire you and motivate you to operate in your divine purpose. Cultured Society is here to unite the colorful souls that walk through these doors. We are here to unconditionally love every aspect of your brilliant being, extending love, compassion, empathy, understanding, and grace, consistently offering multicultural views, higher perspectives, and holistic ways of living. We are here to develop your mind through creativity and multidimensional ways of thinking, teaching you ways to be mindful and kind while you consistently lead through this life freely, gifting you tools that will allow you to give and think freely, leaving you with no choice but to release everything that is limiting you from being a divine and abundant human being. So today I am here with the beautiful Donson, and I want to share a story about how I met Don. Not only am I here to help educate and also just share experiences, but also to help you authentically connect, because we're living in a time where we are kind of not really authentically connecting anymore, especially because we've gone through a year of isolation and separation. And we are here to unite each other, to really just share the gift of authentically connecting. And so last year, I had just moved back to New Mexico, and I was running errands pretty much like every other day to the grocery store, going out to the post office, doing random things that I needed to do during quarantine. And one of the days that I was at Natural Grocers, I happened to see this beautiful soul outside of Natural Grocers, standing right by her beautiful Vespa, taking a selfie, drinking my favorite drink, kombucha. So I go up to Miss Dawn and I introduce myself, and we ended up having a 45-minute conversation. And it was almost as though I had known Dawn for my entire life. And it was so beautiful, because when you allow yourself to be in flow, you allow yourself to connect with human beings that you would never, ever think to connect with. So I want to introduce Dawn. She is an educator, a lifelong learner, and a builder of people. She loves to help folks design their best life in health, home, business, and overall happiness. Dawn's entire life has revolved around education, sports, health, art, and making people laugh. She knew at a young age that she was destined to do great things, to coach, teach young people and old how to design the best version of themselves. Dawn has dedicated her entire life to the education of young people. She received a bachelor's degree in special education at Ball State and a master's in education from, is it Earlham?
Earlham College, yeah. It's a hippie college.
Okay. Well, Dawn has retired from the traditional classroom setting and is now using her skills and talents in the non-traditional sense through volunteer work in the arts, nature guide, and hospital. She is also in the processes of getting her nutritional coaching certification, along with starting her own business in the health and wellness industry. Dawn is a firm believer in taking every opportunity that presents itself, combining all her loves and empowering others with everyone to do the same. Dawn believes in hard work, and what you practice is how you will play. She believes every situation can be figured out, and you have to have fun while in the process of working on you. And so this is so beautiful, because like I mentioned earlier, when you allow yourself to authentically connect with people, you recognize that there's about 0 degrees of separation. And regardless of how old or how young or, where you come from, what you do for a living, you can always find a common ground with just about anyone you meet when you allow yourself to just connect. And so Don and I ended up having so much in common, and it was just so beautiful because we've known each other now for almost a year, and we've had the opportunity to connect on several occasions through even quarantine. And so the purpose of these conversations is really, again, to show you how to connect, but also to recognize that you yourself are unique, you are divine, and you have the capacity to be to walk in your divine purpose every single day through inspiration. So we are here to talk about life philosophies, experiences, multicultural views, and also our panel of guests are here to give you words of wisdom that are going to help you along your path every single day. So my hope is that you're inspired with an open mind and that you just connect to this conversation, just like I've been doing with every person who has been coming through these doors. So thank you so much, Dawn, for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks. It was a good one. I'm wearing the shirt, by the way, that we met. Didn't know if you noticed that.
I did. I did notice that. In fact, and what does it say? Tell us what it says.
Oh gosh, I almost have to read it. It says, "I love the person I have become because I really fought to become her." I think that's what it says. I think I love the person. I think that's, I can't read upside down. Anyhow, I love the person that I am because I really fought to be this person, to find her. Yeah.
Yes. I remember, well, she was wearing the shirt the day that I met her. And I asked if I could take a picture of her because I just loved her style. I loved her free spirit. And I just connected that with that. It was something that really resonated with me. So these questions that I have come up with, if you have not joined me on these conversations yet, these conversations have the same questions for every guest that comes through these doors. But every conversation has been so unique because although I like to say that we are a part of one body in Christ, and regardless if you are a believer or not, it doesn't really matter because we are so almost, I like to say that we are designed in very similar ways, but we have a very specific DNA code that is designed for just you and for myself. And so although these questions are the same, everybody's having a very unique experience and everybody has different philosophies that they live by every single day. But we can agree that we can come together, have a conversation and just embrace these experiences and life philosophies. And we can take these little nuggets of wisdom to incorporate them into our daily life, or we can just let it pass through and just embrace the conversation as is. So I like to start off with this conversation by asking this question: what is your life's philosophy?
Yeah. And I had to really think on that. I mean, I think then it was like, oh my gosh, it's so simple. One of the quotes that I kind of thought of was, life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. And at an early age, and it's a scripture, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and which fearfully translates, in Hebrew as with great reverence, heartfelt interest, with respect. And then, of course, wonderfully is translated, meaning you're unique and you're set apart. So I think as a kid, I always felt that. I always felt like I was fearfully and wonderfully made. I was pretty awesome. I didn't have any limits, I was boundless. And it wasn't until, I hit, grade school, I guess, that things started to try to change me with that. But every time that I go to that core, that I'm fearfully, beautifully, wonderfully made, it just empowers me, and to know that I am unique. I have a purpose. I'm designed in a way to make a difference. And so my philosophy always just wraps itself around those words of life. So I don't know.
That is so beautiful and so true. And oftentimes, especially in the society where we can often live so confined, right? And we try to compare ourselves to other people and we try to be like everybody else. But it's in reality, we are, even though we're a part of one body, right? And there is 0 degrees of separation, that we understand that all of us have a specific life purpose and that we're not supposed to do what everybody else is doing. Although it may seem like, you know, we have similar traits, we have similar characteristics, and we even have like similar paths, right? Because you're in health and wellness, I'm in health and wellness. We want to be able to inspire others to live well, but we do it in a very unique way. And we also have different audiences that we can reach because this world is so large and it's almost impossible for us to touch everybody the same. And so I love that you live your life that way. So you'd mentioned that that was something that was at the core of who you were even as a child, but talk a little bit about how that philosophy has evolved through the years, because you have children of your own. And I'm sure through every phase that you've been through with them, and even now that you don't have them with you, a lot of things have changed for you.
Right. As far as how that I've evolved with that philosophy, like I said, when I was a little girl, I did feel limitless, and I just, but I struggled, and I think with like self-image and confidence, because I think, you're put in this little room in kindergarten and you're all just like trying to figure each other out and make new friends. And it was just one of those situations. And I remember, I really feel like, I'll get into this other part later. I guess I was going to talk about my kindergarten teacher, but I truly had to learn just to love me and to instill that love and confidence first into myself so that I could, love others. And like one of the quotes I always think about is, we can only rise through raising other people up, and so I think definitely art and sports, brought me into evolving into who I was, because I saw the beauty in flaws. And, I like to take something, I restore old homes as well. So I like to take things that are just like people have given up on and just like restore it back to its beautiful self, where it's recognized. It's people like make it their destination to either check you out or check the house out or whatever it is. But for me, it's like, if I'm not doing that type of work, I'm just like lost. It's a complete high for me when I'm actually like speaking with someone and restoring and bringing out the beauty in them. That's when I light up, and that's how I know that I'm in the right path, that I'm doing the right things. So, evolving took a lot, because, we were in this Barbie and Ken mentality, which I hate. And, then I became a mother early, and I just wanted them to know that they were beautifully, fearfully and wonderfully made. And you can be anything you want to be. And I know people sometimes get mad at that statement, but it's, and that I get mad at people that get mad at that statement, because we want to put limits on what you can achieve or what you can do. And I think that's, part of how I, just got into this path of health and wellness and education and working with young people. So.
And it's so true. And the thing is that we really have to come to that realization for ourselves that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that we are perfect as we are. And the more that we can recognize that for ourselves, the more that we're able to give, we have the capacity to give that so freely to others, to be able to inspire others to feel the same way about themselves. And at the end of the day, we're here to serve. We're here to serve one another. And it's so beautiful when we can pour that into ourselves, believe that with, I mean, the utmost, capacity that we have in truth, and then be able to inspire others to feel that for themselves, so that it's like a never ending cycle, you know what I mean, that we can give to others, that will just allow us to live in a more free state of mind, right?
Right. Yeah. There again, it's life is not a problem. It's meant to be experienced. And if we can just grasp that, to experience at all times and in every moment, there's something to take in and behold. And I think there again, why I'm so drawn to young people is because that spirit is not broken in them at that, when they're young, everything, have you ever watched a little kid when they walk into, I don't know, it doesn't look that cool to us. It might be a fair or whatever. And they're just like, or, it just might be a tree or a flower or whatever. And they're just like, oh my God, this is just like so freaking amazing. And you're just like, I need that. I want to keep a hold of that. I never want to lose that, that experiencing something and looking for the newness and the beauty in it at all times, at 6 years old.
Absolutely. Well, I think that it's really important for all of us to embrace that childlike essence, because children are so pure and they operate in flow all the time. They don't think about yesterday. They don't think about, even when they get mad at someone, usually like they're over it within like 2-3 minutes. Once it's addressed, they just keep moving. They keep moving forward. And so when we tap into that, we have the ability to just be in forward all the time and not being worried about like history, what happened yesterday, this morning. We just don't hold on to things.
Right.
So do you believe that, how has your upbringing and circle of influence impacted the way that you think and live today?
Okay, so my upbringing was just like a normal, middle class, pretty much. I always tell people I was a coach's daughter. My mom is art and design. And so I think I am definitely a combination of my parents. And I believe I was definitely a challenging child because I love to explore, and basically rules were kind of suggestions for me. So this is where I was going to get into my kindergarten thing. I saw the world as this big giant playground. I was determined to have fun in everything that I did. And I had this kindergarten teacher. It was my parents' first, of course, teacher-parent conference. And she tells them that I'm retarded and that I'm unfocused. And I was thinking, and I couldn't understand. And when my parents, why they were so angry with me after this conference, and they came home and my dad started drilling me on the times tables and how to tell time. And I was like, tying my shoes. And I'm like, I can do all this stuff, and I'm like, fine, and I would spend, we spent a whole hour like every day because my dad was a teacher, and we had this, my whole summer was just like, I'm going to teach this child. She is not retarded. Obviously, this teacher never had a free spirit in her classroom because I was definitely that person. And I think because my dad was a teacher and, he had this, heart to educate and bring me into my confidence and everything. I got turned onto sports and art. And I think that's where I started getting discipline, and I started focusing on kind of because it spoke to me. And I think if we can find that channel that we can express ourselves and build that confidence, I think that's the key to my upbringing, was that they always instilled, even though they heard these horrible things, their daughter's retarded. My dad was like, this is not going to be the case. And so, I mean, that was my whole life too. My parents were just like, you can do this, they always instilled that into me. And I'm very thankful for that, because I think because of that upbringing and influences, I became a hard worker. And I knew that if I just set myself to it, I could get it done. And, but I had to learn along the way, like how that all works, chunking it and taking my time.
Where did you grow up?
Actually a Midwest girl, Muncie, Indiana, home of Ball State. David Letterman, he went there. He's always the tagging for that college in my hometown. Just this, very kind of like Las Cruces. It's got a university, 100,000 population. Just the weather is not so great there as it is here. The difference there. But yeah. So just, you're just an average, kid. I had to play out in the streets, with all the kids in the neighborhood until the lights came on, and we knew that's when we went home. I came up in that kind of a upbringing, we just a typical like Sandlot, if you've ever seen that movie.
Yes. One of my favorite movies. But it's interesting because you, as a free spirit coming from a small town, which very similar to me. And then how old were you when you left Indiana?
I always knew. It was kind of funny. I used to always say, I am never going to stay here. I'm never going to. It wasn't though until it was 2009. So I'm like, in my late 40s. So, I mean, I raised my kids and got married in that town. And then my dreams started to become bigger. I was looking more at like, what kind of impact? I mean, teaching was wonderful. I mean, I got to coach, I got to teach, I got to, work with students who struggled in areas that we take for granted. I think there's so many life lessons that I got with that. And then I was trying to think, we restored a couple homes before we decided, let's move to Virginia and start a coffee shop. But I think it had to go through all these processes. I think that's the thing. There's seasons and times and processes and learning that we need to go through before we make some of those major steps. And so it wasn't until later. But I did travel even before then. I went to Europe, I went to China, and things like that, because I knew there was a world outside of Muncie, Indiana, this little Midwestern corn, chucking town. So I was bound to turn to experience it. It took me a while. It wasn't immediate.
And that's beautiful because you're right. It is so important for us to explore. And, this world is so large and there's so much opportunity to grow and to learn. And we don't have to stay in the confinements of the parameters that we live in, right? Whether you decide to leave your small hometown or not, it really is important for you to step outside the box, to have interactions with people, to recognize that there is a world outside of that, because it gives you an ability to have a vision. And everybody has that capacity. We all are creatives. We all have the ability to tap into our logical and creative mind. And a lot of people are living on one side, right? It's either you're creative or you're logical, but we all have the ability to utilize both sides of our brain. And I recognize that when I traveled, it gave me more of an ability to expand and to see the world so differently and to connect with people in a different way that I wouldn't have been able to do had I stayed in the town that I was born and raised in my entire life. Because just like you, I moved out. And so how many places have you lived in so far?
Well, we've got 5. It's funny because we started thinking, I'm going to get each state, and done this repurposed wood, the shape of the state. And we have 5 on the wall. So Virginia was the first, and we went back to Indiana, and then we went from Indiana to Oregon, and then Oregon to Tennessee, and then Nashville, and then here to Las Cruces. So, and I don't think we're done.
I don't think you're done either. I don't think you're done either. I would love for you to be done because I
know.
But you belong to the win, so I know that you're definitely
right.
on your path. Now, do you believe that your line of work infects our society with positivity?
Yes. And I think, being a teacher, I think that's always instilled in you, your heart. I mean, even if you're not a credentialed teacher, just being a teacher or loving education and learning. I think, because that means you're a giver. That's what you want to inspire. You want to help things grow. And so there again, it goes back to my philosophy, the beauty for ashes. My line of work, gosh, some people are like, what do you do? I always get that. Really, what do I do? Because I just think, because I just get into because I'm able to adapt. Like we've lived in all these different places. And I remember someone saying, I just love how you can just take on wherever you're living and be a part of the community. And I think that's always been a skill that I think, or maybe something, I don't know if it's a skill or it's just innate, but, restoring old homes, broken people, making people laugh, building community, having a heart, to have those heart conversations like we had out in front of Natural Grocers. I just think that's my line of work. If that makes any sense. And just making people feel good about themselves. I do feel like everything that I do is definitely, always goes back to just building people up. I'm a builder, and I guess it looks 100 different ways for me. And I have no room for fakes. I don't have any time for faking anything or waiting for certain thing. I don't know. I don't. It's something I put on my paper here, and it's something that I guess I've lived my life by as well, is just to be your authentic self. First discover that, grow in that, love who you are, and then don't worry about the rest. So I don't know. Did that answer that line of work question?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we think that that everybody operates that way, right? Because this is a line of work that we do, but it really is a unique gift that not a lot of people tap into, because it takes a lot of self-awareness, it takes a lot of self-reflection, and really a lot of evaluation and adaptation to be able to tap into that unique gift of connecting with others authentically. It's it may come easy to us, but it's not something that comes easy to everyone. And so this is what we're here to teach you, is that everyone has a capacity to tap into that inner magic. It's really just giving yourself the opportunity to do it. And, we need so many more people that are tapping into that, because we need more positivity in this world. There's a lot of darkness, but at the same time, there's a lot of light.
There is so much light. Yeah.
So much light. There's so much light. And that's what we here are focusing on, that we emphasize on the light over the darkness, and that we have the capacity to live heaven on earth every single day. It's a higher perspective that you all have the capacity to tap into. Now, I want to tap into a little bit about on alignment and a higher calling and purpose. Now, do you believe that the work that you do today has evolved into your higher calling and purpose?
Yeah, I do. I think but I always feel like I'm never done. You're never done. So I just feel like, you get slowed down and you get in hold patterns, but I definitely, still feel that I am going to continue on. I got a good 25 years in me still. I look at, on this earth.
Longer.
And longer. That's right.
You're aging backwards right now. So you have.
So I definitely feel, yeah, that I'm doing what I was called to do. And I always check myself with that too. I think that's something, it's important to always ask yourself that, are you walking in your purpose? Because you are this great big possibility and purpose. And there's so much to you. So there again, think limitlessly about yourself, no matter your age or, color or male, female, whatever, just know that you are there again, fearfully and wonderfully made and unique, and you have a voice and you have something to say. None of us are just, I don't know, a rock sitting around. We were designed really cool, and the way we think is really cool, and people need to hear what we've got to say, whether you think they do or not. You've got to allow yourself to open up and find that positivity to share out of yourself.
Oh, it is so true. It is so true. And that actually goes into my next question, because I really want you to emphasize the importance of that, and also to talk about how you stay relevant, unique, and true to who you are as a person, because we do live in a world where everybody's trying to fit into this mold, right? And even like with women, we have so much pressure to look a certain way, to feel a certain way, to be a certain way, especially when we have this like social media model where we have, publications that they advocate for, a specific size or a specific career or how much money that we make. So how have you been able to stay aligned with who you are as a person? And I know that you already touched on this, but go a little deeper.
A little deeper. How do I say relevant, unique, and true? Well, I'm always keeping myself involved in pursuing and my passions, my heart's passions. I'm always asking myself those tough questions. Always. Am I loving what I'm doing? Am I bringing joy and purpose to others? Am I holding myself back? Am I going too fast? Why am I not, I'm always asking myself and checking myself. And I think I hear myself say it, checks and balances all the time. I think you have to do that in life. And that's how I stay relevant. That's how I stay unique. And that's how I stay true. I try not to allow comparisons to take over my worldview or my view. I get really annoyed with that. And I think I was voted, I know I was in my master's program as the most authentic person because, and I thought that was such a great, reward to get. It was an honor because it meant that I was always, there was no, I was very transparent. It is what it is. I'm not perfect. I'm willing to accept. No, I don't like to be critiqued, really. I don't like to be criticized. I do try to learn always from it. And that's how I always stay relevant, unique too, is just always asking myself, am I being true to me? Am I pushing the envelope like I need to be pushing it? And am I settling, And if I feel like I'm settling, then I'll say, well, why is that? Why am I settling? What's going on? I talk to myself. I guess have conversations with yourself. It'll, and the more you do that, I think the more you become aware and open to like what your heart and your passions and your purpose really is. I mean, you connect. The more you throw it out there, what you're looking for and wanting, there again, being very positive about it. Because if you throw out a bunch of bull crap all the time, it's going to really weigh heavy on you. And I see people do it all the time. And then in a month or two, they're walking in the stuff that they were just talking about. They were, you can bring it on. And so I just try to always check myself, I think is the biggest thing. That's how, and then I'm always reading and absorbing material. that's that lifelong learner about me. I'm always trying to take in new ideas and new, and there again, asking questions, I think that's a teacher thing, but yeah.
How do you feel when you are out of alignment with yourself?
Gosh, yeah. And I get there, I get there to those points. And when I'm, out of alignment, I have to, like, there again, the coach has to kick in, and I have to just like tell myself, to snap out of it. It's just, I do not like being out of alignment. But then I have to say, okay, we're not promised tomorrow. This is my new reality. Whatever is throwing me off, whether it's my physical being, I don't know I got diagnosed with an autoimmune, and that really threw me off. But then I also said, what can I learn from this, and how can I help other people grow? And I even have a deeper understanding now of what people are dealing with too. And so I actually am thankful. People will be like, oh God, how can you be thankful for rheumatoid arthritis? And you're such an active person, and you're so vibrant, and oh my God, you just, this is it for you. I'm just like, no. And so I think I definitely went through a moment of out alignment, and you were there for me. And so I so appreciate, and there again, I don't think you meet people by chance. I think it's definitely, and people will be all weird about this, but it's ordained. I think, some people, and if you wouldn't have acted on that, let's say you just like, oh, I don't want to talk to her, she'll think I'm weird, or, you thank God you didn't have all that stop you and fears, and you went forward and just like, oh my gosh, about the Vespa and whatever. Because then the beauty of our relationship just went to this whole other level, because you took the risk. And I think that's something that all of us have to grow in. And I think in our profession, we're taught to take those risks and interact. And then the conversations bring so much joy and life to you. And I would not have gotten to be able to go through some of the stuff I was going through if I hadn't have met you. And I know, but you just like, how many people, I just meet you like for 45 minutes. Okay. And then you have me over and meet your amazing parents. And then I have you come over and paint rocks. and then
I wouldn't massage you. I wouldn't give you a massage.
Yeah, but that's what I was getting at. And then I get hit with the rheumatoid. I go off to Indiana. We had just met, and then I come back with this whole new dynamic to myself. So you only got to you saw me a little bit before. Yeah. And then I remember you just were checking in on me. I don't know how you called me, but you were just like, I'm coming over. And I'm like, who does that? Only really cool people do that. People who are not afraid and you are limitless. You have that persona about you. So you're like, I'm just coming. And I'm like, she's coming. And then it was like, I felt so much better. And I remember some people be like, who is she? And like, that's kind of cool, and is everybody like that in Las Cruces? No, they're pretty friendly here. But it spoke volumes to my life. And so I'm very thankful. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so grateful. And that's one of the things that I really like to preach about, is being in the state of flow and understanding that that's an art, and that you practice that every single day, because we live, especially after quarantine last year. Oh, we're being taught to not interact, to not come together. We're almost going now back into that environment where it's very one-dimensional, right? We depend on our phones, we depend on applications to stay connected, but that is not authentic connection. And so we have to go back into the art of connecting with people face to face, because right now, Dawn and I are exchanging energy, and you're going to feel that energy when you listen to this conversation. But there's nothing like being in the room with somebody and exchanging that energy and even having that physical touch. Because the day that I called her, I was very inspired to call her. I thought about her and I acted on that thought. I called her, she was not feeling well, and something nudged me to just go and serve her, because that's what we're here to do. And through that process, we're able to give each other that healing energy that everybody has the potential to tap into. It's just that we don't, because we allow that, like, that inner demon voice, right, to tell us that, oh no, that's not, like, they're not going to appreciate that, or I don't have the capacity to do that. But we do. And so I just want to encourage everybody to be more open when it comes to that inner voice that tells you, go talk to that person, or say hello to that person, or compliment that person, because you have no idea what those words can do for a person's energy, what that encouragement can do to shift someone who's been feeling down and out in the dumps, feeling depressed, whatever. Like, you don't know what that could do for somebody. So what practices do you implement, Dawn, to stay grounded and divinely connected to yourself? And I know that you talked about art and that you travel a lot, but maybe take us through a day-to-day practice that you implement.
What I do is routine wise is when I wake up, I just kind of take a moment, I drink my bottle of water, I get my water in, and I'm just very quiet. And I just kind of sit at the counter, and I just kind of and I start to journal. I write. And I just kind of talk, a little bit in my journal, just like my day, or, kind of yesterday I looked at today and where I would like to head. So I definitely journal. That's how I start my day. And then, my husband and I, we're big coffee people. So you got to have that cappuccino, and we have a conversation, and then he's off, and he's always like, this is my favorite time, is the morning with you. And I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. And then I go into my routine, which, and for me to it's harder now with the knee thing, and but I like to get out in the nature, and I just like to get silent. I used to take a long walk. I think I've told you this before, over when we were waiting for this house to be done, and there's this circle of unfinished land, and I would just say, I would introduce myself to Las Cruces. And I like to open myself up like that every day to the opportunity of meeting someone, to being a part of someone's life. So those are some of my practices. There again is just getting silent and listening, writing your thoughts down. Sometimes I sit too, and just I take a sketch pad, and it's got pictures in it, it's got writings in it, and I've done this through the years. So it's cool to go back, and I'll pick out one of those journals, and I'll just see, what was I thinking at this time, or what were my dreams, and how was I feeling? And sometimes part of my practice is to sit down and go through some of my writings and journals, just to I guess keep that balance, and I don't know, what else did I put? And which we do this all the time. We're doing it now, is to keep in deep, meaningful conversations with others. I also have a select few people that I engage with on a daily basis, just to keep the energy up and to not let, things weigh me down. And I just try to keep my circle of influence positive at all times. Yes. I think it's part of what definitely grounds me and connects me now.
It's so good. That's so good. And we all need accountability, right? We can't keep ourselves isolated, although it is really important to embrace solitude. It's important to, because that allows you to hear your inner voice, to be able to connect with your source, whatever that may be to you. But the only way that we're able to do that is through solitude and silence, but also surrounding yourself again with that circle of influence that is going to inspire you, help motivate you, encourage you, give you those words of wisdom, because we all need it, whether we're reading it out of a book or we're hearing, motivational speakers, whatever it is that you do to tap into that. Like, it's important to have that, because we're not meant to live life alone. We need to be surrounded by people that are like-minded and that are going to push us, to that limitless place. So what words of wisdom would you give to those seeking a deeper understanding of themselves?
Well, is fall in love and be in love with you. That's the biggest thing. And challenge yourself to give that love and that passion away. So everything that you're instilling in yourself is meant to be given away. And I think if you can grasp that and the power of that, then, I mean, that's what impacts me and challenges me, is that I take what I have, every ounce, and you do the same, Rebecca, and you give it away. I mean, that's like your whole purpose. Get a hold of that, and always take in the quiet. You've said that, and breathe deeply. And I would say yes more. And I think there's a lot of things coming out about that too. Like say yes to everything. I think there's movies now that say it, because there's a lot of truth in that. Say yes. My husband will instantly go into this thing. We want to write a letter. This friend of ours, that's actually a cousin, is going over to the East. He's in the military, and parent wants to write. They want us to write like a letter to him and like create this little book for him to have. And I thought, oh, that's so sweet. And this is Gary's cousin. This is Gary's side of the family. He goes, well, you need to do that. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I'm too busy. I got work. I mean, and I said, you've got to be kidding me. So you say no, right? And then I said, you are a Marine. I mean, and you have this connection with him. And then it just changed him. He's like, okay. I said, we'll do it together. But he immediately just wants to say no. And then I think a lot of us do that. It's like, I don't have time. I'm too busy. I got work. I've got kids. I've got to go to the grocery store. I got to fix dinner. I can't say yes, And so ask yourself tough questions. That's another thing, words of wisdom. And why? Why are you saying no? And what are the possibilities of yes? And my dad used to say this to me all the time, and I'm going to leave you with this. Grab life by the horns and enjoy the ride.
Yes.
So
yes. That is so true. There's so much truth in all of those statements. And also, I encourage you to become more adaptable. I always do end of the year reflections. And one of the reflections that I wrote about at the end of 2020 was the ability to become more adaptable, because sometimes we have to have the rug pulled from underneath our feet in order for us to do something different. And what is Albert Einstein's, he once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And we're not going to get a different result if we're doing and living the same mundane life over and over again. And 2020 was the perfect example and confirmation that we have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. Literally, our life can shift in a second. We can be taken to another dimension in a second, and we have no idea. So why would we want to live our life in the what if? Why would we want to live in the regret of not doing something when we're being called to do something, but we're holding ourselves back because of the fear? Remember that fear is an illusion. It doesn't exist. It's literally the thoughts that we create in our mind. And with that, instead of focusing on the fear and emphasizing on what if it didn't happen, how about we focus on what the possibilities are of what could happen?
Right. Yeah.
And just focusing on, and it's so important because as human beings, we sometimes don't allow ourselves to feel, or we feel guilty when we're feeling these emotions of sadness. And it's so important for us to allow these emotions to come through us, to feel them, not feel guilty about them, because it's a part of our human experience. And the only way that we're going to be able to heal and release these emotions of tension, of fear, of resentment, of pain, is if we feel it and then just acknowledge it, thank it, and just release it, let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I told you all the dark stuff, I don't dwell there long. I mean, I was, I beat the odds. I was, a teenage pregnant girl. I was 18. There's a lot of things in my life that if I, I dwelled, and in the statistics of, I guess, someone in that state was not good, especially back in my day. You weren't even allowed to go to school when you were pregnant. So, I mean, I graduated early and different things. And I just had to know that if you focus too much on all the negatives, or this is generations of family. I hate when I hear this from my family. Oh, this happened to some. This is the way it's going to be for you. I'm like, no. Yeah.
No, it's true. And we all have. It's in our genes that we should embrace. It really is generational curses that we have the ability to break. And all of us have the capacity to break those generational curses that are keeping us oppressed every single day, because we tend to live in a society with a lot of oppression. But that is not, we have been created to live life more abundantly. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have millions of dollars in the bank, right? Because there's a misconception of success and of wealth. The wealth really that we carry that really matters is the wealth that we have in our minds, right? In our hearts. And that gives us the ability to create more materialistic wealth that we don't really oftentimes need, because we really need just the basics to be able to be content and to be joyful in everything that we do. So I leave you with this thought today. Today, I invite you to leave the past in the past. It's time to create a new path. Today is a new day. You are a new you. And every day is the day to recreate what your mind believes to be true. I am sending you so much love and light today. Thank you, Dawn, for joining me on this amazing and inspiring conversation. I am so grateful for you, and we will see you soon. Peace.